Malaria is a serious tropical disease spread by mosquitoes. A single mosquito bite is enough for someone to become infected, and if not treated promptly, it can be fatal. Malaria is caused by a type of parasite known as plasmodium. Plasmodium is a genus of unicellular eukaryotes that are parasites of vertebrates and insects. There are many different plasmodium species, but only 5 cause malaria in humans, and these are Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium malariae, Plasmodium ovale, Plasmodium vivax, and Plasmodium knowlesi, which is usually found in primates and will only occasionally affect humans. To understand the pathophysiology of malaria, we will first describe the life cycle of the parasite. So, the malaria parasite is transmitted by the female Anopheles mosquito. The parasite resides as sporozoites, which is a motile, spore-like stage in the life cycle of Plasmodium, in the mosquito's salivary glands. And when this mosquito bites someone, the sporozoites are spilled into the bloodstream. Once in the bloodstream, the sporozoites make their way to the liver, where they engage in asexual reproduction in the hepatocytes. Over the next 1 to 2 weeks, sporozoites reproduce asexually and mature into merozoites. The infected hepatocytes then rupture, releasing the merozoites into the blood, from where they go on to infect red blood cells. However, in Plasmodium vivax and Plasmodium ovale, a few parasites remain dormant as hypnozoites, and these can reactivate at any time, causing a relapsing infection. Inside the red blood cells, the parasites multiply to form new merozoites. They do so by changing from merozoite to trophozoite, then to schizoid, and then to new merozoites. But we won't go into detail on that. The erythrocytes then rupture, releasing the merozoites to infect further cells. This process is known as erythrocytic schizogony or erythrocytic asexual reproduction, and this process takes around 48 hours in Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium vivax, and Plasmodium ovale, and about 72 hours in Plasmodium malariae. This is important because it results in the characteristic tertian fever and quartan fever of malaria. When the red blood cells rupture, they release their cellular contents into the blood, and this includes tumor necrosis factor alpha and other cytokines that will induce fever. Therefore, in malaria, you will have these characteristic short bursts of fever, which often reaches 41 degrees Celsius, and is accompanied by rigors and drenching sweats. A tertian fever refers to a fever occurring every third day, and a quartan fever refers to a fever occurring every fourth day. Now, a few merozoites will develop into gametocytes instead of trophozoites, and these will not be released from the red blood cell until they are taken up by another feeding mosquito. This mosquito that takes up the gametocytes is now infected. The gametocytes reach the mosquito's gut, where they undergo sexual reproduction. The fusion of gametocytes results in a zygote, which will ultimately develop into an oocyst. This will rupture, releasing sporozoites that will reside in the mosquito's salivary gland, and thus completing the cycle. Now, the pathology of malaria is related to hemolytic anemia, as the red blood cells are being destroyed, as well as cytokine release and, in case of Plasmodium falciparum, organ damage due to impaired microcirculation. Hemolytic anemia results in extreme fatigue as there is not enough oxygen being transported to tissues, headaches, jaundice, and splenomegaly, which is the enlargement of the spleen. In Plasmodium falciparum malaria, red blood cells adhere to the lining of capillaries, obstructing the vessels and resulting in decreased blood supply to the organs. These red blood cells also rupture, releasing toxins and more cytokines, therefore inducing an inflammatory response. This leads to widespread organ damage and even organ failure, including the brain, kidneys, liver, and other organs. Therefore, most malaria deaths are due to Plasmodium falciparum infections. Finally, the common symptoms of malaria, according to the NHS, include high temperature of 38 degrees Celsius or above, feeling hot and shivery, headaches, vomiting, muscle pains, diarrhea, and generally feeling unwell. So this is the end of the video. I hope you learned something new. If you've enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe.